After my travels last week, I am back home, and you might be able to hear the tiny little waterfall that we have that pours into the brook that runs along the edge of our land. This kind of slow, kind of faded, rushing sound, and maybe you can hear the birds too. Welcome to the Henny Flynn podcast, the space for deepening self-awareness with profound self-compassion. I'm Henny. I write, coach and speak about how exploring our inner world can transform how we experience our outer world, all founded on a bedrock of self-love. Settle in and listen and see where the episode takes you. I'm beginning today by noticing those sounds and also noticing the sounds of Anton downstairs pottering about, and I can just about make out Ronnie somewhere off in one of the fields barking at something. And each of these things, they fill me with a sense of gratitude that I am here, home, safe, warm, comfortable, with everything that I need to sustain me. And sometimes it is so useful to pause and to acknowledge these simple, maybe at times they feel a little bit mundane, but to pause and just to notice what is around us. And I think at times it can be really useful to begin with sounds, because often they're not things of our own making, of course. They're sounds that are being made by something other than us, or someone other than us. And one of the things about the sound of birdsong, of course, is that birds sing when they feel safe. So actually noticing the birdsong is a way of activating that parasympathetic nerve aspect of our autonomic nervous system, because when we hear that birds are singing, our sort of oldest, deepest part of our brain recognizes that they sing because they feel safe, and that means that there isn't any danger around, and therefore that transmits a sense of safety to us too. We know that we can feel safe as well. And I love that. I love knowing that. And of course, it speaks to the reason why, as human beings, we love the sound of birdsong so much, because it makes us feel safe. And I think sort of using sounds as a point of gratitude can be a really interesting place to start, particularly if things in our life are feeling really hard, really challenging. If the feeds on our phones are filled with hard stuff, if hard stuff is happening in our day-to-day life, finding a moment where we can pause and notice the sounds, or notice something that our eyes fall upon. I'm doing that right now, actually. I'm sitting upstairs in my bedroom and recording this for you. I feel as though we've been moving around my home quite a lot recently, doing these recordings. I wonder whether unconsciously or subconsciously I'm having some kind of internal experiment with the podcast. But it's interesting, even just sitting here, there are so many things that my eyes are falling on. There's a plant, there's my tiny little bedroom shrine, which has got some crystals, some stones, a tiny little teddy bear that belonged to my mother, So that's, significantly over 80 years old. And a tiny little toy rabbit that belonged to my son. And they're sitting together on the shrine. That fills me with great joy. There's a picture created by a friend of mine. There's photographs, pieces of furniture that have been with us for a long time. Even my old dressing gown hanging on the back of the door, when I lay my eyes on that and the recognition of how long that has been with me, all the years that I've had it, that fills me with a sense of gratitude too. And I think, this is sort of one of the things about the attitude of gratitude, this as we build this muscle of gratitude, it becomes easier to feel into the things that we are able to feel grateful for in our life. Always remembering that it's not about forcing ourselves to be grateful. It's not about a kind of, a distorted version of toxic positivity. It's about really being able to sink into what is it about this thing that I am thankful for. And actually that reminds me of a piece of research that I'm going to share next week in the opening event for the gratitude quest that begins on the 26th of February, which is a piece of research that looked at how important it is that gratitude is true, that it's a real thing. We're not just pretending that we're grateful for something. So it's almost the antithesis of the fake it till you make it sort of, psychological state, which is often quoted for helping us get through hard things. And, I think that's really interesting. So kind of finding the point of truth within us in order to be able to begin to exercise that stance of gratitude or that muscle of gratitude. And it's one of the reasons why I think personally for me, and maybe this resonates with you, maybe not, but I think personally for me, why beginning with a sound can be really powerful, because if we're fortunate, maybe that sound will be something to do with nature. And the minute we start to connect with nature, we start to ground our system. We start to ground this natural body that we are. We are all part of nature, and we begin to reconnect with our true state, and sort of move out of that illusion of separation and isolation, which is often how it can feel to be human in this modern world. We have this sort of illusion of separation, but the true state is that, we are natural beings and part of the natural world. So I'm also grateful that there's a car coming by. I'm just going to pause for a moment. So not a car, a quad bike from one of the farmers nearby. We don't get very many vehicles going by. So I'm also grateful that I was able to take a day to rest yesterday. Having been away, I managed to pick up some kind of bug, and I feel like, fingers crossed, it feels like just having a day in bed has helped it move through my body. And I'm feeling much more able to speak and to be here with you, which is the reason why the podcast is a little bit late getting published this week. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the sort of my knowledge of myself, my willingness to trust my body when it said I cannot continue with all the plans that I had yesterday without it depleting me to such an extent that I would get very ill. And so quite often the quad bike's back. So quite often, in the past, what I would have done is just kept going. And I suspect that might resonate with many of us here, and it's it's often something that's kind of hardwired into our sort of belief of how we should be, how we are meant to show up in the world. But finding these points in our day, in our week, in our month, in our year when we can rest, and sort of being grateful to ourselves for taking those moments or those days, or maybe it's a few days, and genuinely resting. And I've got a memory has just come of when our son was little, maybe 7 years old, I think. We had a camper van, and I managed to arrange to take 5 weeks off work in order to go and drive to southern Spain in the van with our dog. It was brilliant. It sounds so idyllic, and so much of it was. And I also have a memory of trying to sit and work on a laptop and find Wi-Fi at campsites across France and Spain in order to carry on doing the work that I believe no one else was capable of doing. Now, that's a really complicated thing, because the woman that I was then, she truly believed that was true. And I wouldn't want to take that belief away from that version of me, that woman that I was. And the reality of the impact of that belief was that I didn't really rest. I wasn't able to be completely, fully present in that time away. And the woman that I am now looks back and sees, oh, my darling, like, how could that have been handled differently? Simply that. And so that feels a little bit of a random segue, and I'm kind of trusting that sharing that is resonating with some of us here. Maybe that helps a thought or a reflection crystallize for you, or maybe it's oh yes, I recognize that too. So I think that might be it for today. I think this is just a really short episode, and trusting that. And just to say, if you haven't yet signed up for the gratitude quest that begins next week, then please do. We've now well over 200 people have joined, and we begin on Thursday, the 26th of February at 7 p.m. That's UK time. And we're going to begin with a lovely opening event together. So I'll share a little more about the science and the practice of gratitude, the different ways that it can help us, and also exploring some of the different ways that we can approach it as well. And recognizing that sometimes it feels really hard to find. So this again is about really sort of looking at this practice of gratitude from all perspectives, not ignoring the more challenging aspects. We'll also do a delicious relaxation practice together, and we'll do some journaling. We'll do some journaling that helps us expand into this theme of gratitude, in order to understand, our own practice, our own approach toward it, our own challenges maybe with it. And then the gratitude quest 21 days of gratitude. That officially begins the following day on the 27th of February. And what I'll do is I'll share a very simple prompt. If you've received the everyday compassion from me, then you'll understand, you'll have a sense of how these simple little prompts can really support us. If you're curious about everyday compassion as well, I'll put a link in the show notes so you can have a look at that too. But for the gratitude quest, I'll post a very simple prompt to spark your gratitude, and maybe you use it that day, maybe you don't, maybe you write your own gratitudes that day, maybe you don't. It's all okay. There's nothing here that you have to keep up with. There's no pressure to perform in any way. It's simply a quest for gratitude. So whatever that quest, whatever the journey of that quest looks like for you, is okay. And the invitation, if you wish to, is to share one of your gratitudes that you have written that day. And if you don't want to share, you don't have to. Again, there's absolutely no pressure on you at all. And recognizing that sometimes it can be really helpful when we have this sense of the group practice, all of these people writing together, practicing together, sharing this energy of gratitude together, and helping to weave this really strong cradle of gratitude to hold us all for the period of the quest and beyond. So I'm going to put the link in the show notes. If you want to know more, if you have any questions at all, you can always drop me a line, henny@hennyflynn.co.uk, and I would really, really love to welcome you there. And I'll just leave you with a little question now, just where you are right now, whatever you can hear, whatever you can see, whatever you can touch. What's something that you're grateful for? And I send you a hug and a wave.